Let's be real. Have you ever found yourself staring at a deadline, heart pounding, just wondering why, oh why, didn't I start this sooner? Of course you have. We all have. But what if I told you procrastination isn't a character flaw? That it has nothing to do with being lazy or bad at managing time? Well, today we're going to decode the surprising science behind why we put things off. And trust me, it's a story that starts with some pretty wild numbers. Okay, check out this number first. A massive survey found that a staggering 94% of people say procrastination negatively impacts their happiness. Just let that sink in. That's almost everyone feeling the sting of putting things off. And you know what? It's actually getting worse. Way back in the 1970s, only about 5% of people would have called themselves chronic procrastinators. Fast forward to today, that number has exploded to 20%. That is a 300% increase, turning what we thought was a personal quirk into a full-blown modern epidemic. And this isn't just about feeling guilty or stressed. It hits you right in the wallet. Research shows that for every single point someone goes up on a procrastination scale, it's linked to an average drop of $15,000 in salary. So yeah, this is affecting our well-being and our bank accounts.
So what is going on here? Are we all just collectively failing at willpower on a global scale? Well, not even close. The science tells a completely different and frankly, a much more interesting story.
So first, let's just really grasp the scale of this. We aren't talking about a small habit. We are talking about a procrastination epidemic. And to have any chance of fixing this, we have to start by busting the laziness myth. It turns out we've been blaming the wrong thing this whole time. For decades, we all thought the solution was, better planners, more to-do lists, more discipline. But the real root of the problem, it has absolutely nothing to do with managing your calendar. And there it is. That's the big aha moment. Procrastination is not a problem with your productivity. It's a problem with regulating your emotions. You see, you're not actually avoiding the task. You're avoiding the feeling that the task gives you. And look, don't just take my word for it. Researchers Pickle and Sorois figured this out. Their work shows that when a task makes us feel bad, whether it's bored, anxious, insecure, whatever, our brain's number one priority isn't to get the work done. No, its priority is to stop feeling bad right now. And what's the fastest way to do that? Just avoid the thing that's making you feel bad. So let's dive into what's actually happening inside your head. Think of it as your brain's emotional escape plan. And in this battle, there are two key players. Okay, so on one side, you've got your prefrontal cortex. This is the planner. It's the logical, rational part of your brain that thinks about your long-term goals. But on the other side, you have the amygdala. This is the protector. It's an ancient part of your brain that's always scanning for threats. And when you face a task that feels awful, your amygdala doesn't see a boring spreadsheet, it sees a threat to your emotional well-being. It triggers a fight or flight response, and it's screaming, "Get away from that bad feeling." This is what's called a limbic hijack. Your immediate emotional safety just completely overrules your long-term rational plans. Now, what's really wild is that this internal battle is so predictable that scientists have actually managed to map it out with a mathematical formula. Welcome to the last-minute panic equation. This beautiful thing is called Temporal Motivation Theory, or TMT, and it was developed by a researcher named Piers Steel. Now, I know it looks complicated, but it elegantly explains exactly why we procrastinate, so let's break it down real quick. So the top part of the equation is all about the task itself. Expectancy is basically your confidence. Can I actually do this? And value is how rewarding it is. How much do I even care? If a task feels impossible or it's just incredibly boring, that top number is going to be really low. Your motivation starts out in the basement. Now the bottom part, that's about you and the deadline. Impulsiveness is, how easily distracted you are. And delay is simply how much time you have. So when that deadline is super far away, that delay number is huge, which makes the whole bottom part of the equation massive. And that just crushes your motivation down to zero. And this is the magic behind the last-minute panic. As that deadline gets closer and closer, that delay variable shrinks to almost zero. And what happens in math when you divide by a tiny, tiny number? The result goes through the roof. Suddenly, your motivation skyrockets. It's not willpower, it's just the cold, hard math of panic kicking in. So now that we know the enemy isn't laziness, but our own brain's self-protection system and a predictable math formula, we can stop fighting ourselves and actually start working with our brains. The solutions aren't about more discipline, they're about being smarter. First, you have to make the task less scary for your amygdala. Remember, if a task feels awful, we'll avoid it. So break it down. Don't tell yourself to write the report. No. The first step is open the document. Then maybe write one sentence. Make that first step so ridiculously small, it's almost impossible not to do it. And here's the kicker. Reward yourself for starting, not just for finishing. That trains your brain that, hey, this isn't so bad after all. Next, we can actually rig that TMT equation in our favor. To lower your impulsiveness, you have to engineer your environment. Seriously, put your phone in another room. Make those distractions harder to get to. To increase the value, try to connect that boring task to one of your core values, a bigger goal. And every small win you get builds your expectancy, your belief that you can actually do this. See? It's not about willpower, it's about strategy. So the next time you find yourself putting something off, don't ask, why am I so lazy? Instead, ask yourself this: what uncomfortable feeling am I trying to avoid right now? Recognizing that emotional escape is the first step, because at the end of the day, procrastination isn't about the work you're not doing. It's a message from your present self, sending the bill for its immediate emotional comfort directly to your future. The real question is, will you keep paying it?